Hey, I'm Jerry Katzman. Welcome back to Conference Live. We're here with Peter Scarpelli from CBRE, who is the International Energy and Sustainability Management person. And the question I'd asked you earlier is there a huge difference between energy management here in the US and abroad? And you were telling me a little bit about that.
You know, Jerry, we have customers, big multinational organizations, many Fortune 500 companies. When they look at their portfolio of real estate, they look at it in terms of a portfolio. The challenge for them is how do you create the right organizational structure to be able to influence energy management across the globe. You know, a light bulb is a light bulb. It almost really doesn't matter whether it's installed in Germany or whether it's installed in Asia. A light bulb is a light bulb. But the mechanisms that you go through organizationally and process-wise to install that into kind of the culture in the various regions is different. Some companies operate on a regional basis. Some companies operate on a centralized basis. So it's our responsibility to understand how that company is organized and figure out the best way to integrate our services into how their culture currently works.
So if you wouldn't mind, give me an example of a country's culture or company's culture where you went, whoa guys, we're playing a totally different ball game here.
Well, one of the challenges, the biggest challenge tends to be when it's not centralized. You know, when they have decentralized operations, but sometimes it's decentralized from a physical perspective, but centralized from a financial perspective. So the person that's local might not feel the pain. They may not feel the bill, right? So the cost may not be their cost, but having to have someone go change that light bulb from a physical management perspective is their responsibility. So they don't necessarily have the synchronization between cost and operations.
From that, I'm wondering if part of what you do when you help manage these companies in this realm is to get them less centralized so that you can really get as a cultural thing, hey, let's make it so that even the guy who's way out here does feel a little of the pain when he's not being very wise with resources?
Yeah, that's a true statement. I think the main thing that I do and that my team does is we install processes. You know, like we already said, a light bulb is a light bulb, an air conditioner is an air conditioner. Some of the manufacturers might disagree, but from a philosophical perspective, it's the same. So what our responsibility is to find that best light bulb and work with the local regions to make sure that it's installed from a process perspective, or culturally from a process perspective.
Everyone at this conference is talking about processes, and what for you, in a general and broad sense, is a way to begin to install best processes, best procedures company-wide?
Yeah, best practices is something that's constantly discussed. Whenever we talk with any client, it's the first question they ask is, what are the best practices that are happening at your other clients? And it's our job, because we work with so many different types of clients, to kind of bring those best practices into their organization. The first step we go through is data management. You probably, especially at this particular conference, will hear that a lot. This conference is fundamentally premised on data. And energy, I've said for many times that energy management is fundamentally just data management. When you look at multinational companies, they've got facilities all over the place. And when you have facilities all over the place, you can either throw darts and decide where you're going to go, or you can do some good analytics to determine what the math says you should go do. So when we get involved with a client, the first thing we do is take a look at all of the infrastructure that they currently have to grab data and bring data to the right people so that the right data is in the right hands at the right time. Those are kind of three fundamental tenets. And as much as that might sound like a big platitude and that everyone is doing it, I can tell you that that's not necessarily a true statement. That is the first best practice.
What's a way that you can tell almost immediately whether a company is really following great practices? What are some of the bellwethers that let you know that a company's on the right track?
Energy management, again, is all about data. And one of the easiest ways to get data, because information is really dispersed throughout the portfolio and the portfolio is everywhere, but one of the easiest ways is off your utility bill. Well, some companies, will pay utility bills locally, right? So that it just comes to the accounting person, that person pays it, and it gets, the utility gets paid, which is okay. Unfortunately, what happens is we don't get the information off of that bill. It goes into a drawer, And when it goes into a drawer, it effectively disappears. So from an energy management perspective, no one knows how much was used or what the actual cost was. And I can see the cost on the bill. I can see a line item, but in the GL ledger, I can see a line item, but I don't know what the correlation of that line item is to the relative usage. So one of the first things that we will go through is kind of a bill management process where the information off of that bill is stripped off of it and put into we have a database, a tool that we call Utility Insight. It'll go into Utility Insight so that we can do that basic benchmarking. So instead of throwing darts, we're looking at the information is telling us what to do. We're being what we call data driven. The information is telling us what to do instead of our just gut check.
Mm-hmm. Is there any one piece of technology here on the trade show that you guys definitely couldn't live without?
Well, I come from the smart building space before I joined CBRE, and there's a lot of firms out there today innovating that smart building world into something maybe I couldn't have even dreamed of 4 years ago. Is there something that I can't live without? I can't live without centralized information.
Yeah.
And so, I've already made that pitch. Having a database with with a dashboard is step one. That's something I can't live without. What am I going to do next? I'm going to move into the smart building space. This is going to be something that we will be serving out for our clients. We're looking at a dozen different services right now and trying to pick the right one for our clients.
Really exciting stuff. Thank you so much for sharing.
Jerry, it's great to meet you.
Great to meet you too, Peter. And we'll be back a little bit after this. Thank you very much.
Have a great day.